Welcome to Vegan A Go-Go. This is a vegan cooking show. My name is Jess, and today we're making some sweet potato and green pea samosas. And these are going to be baked, so they might be a little bit healthier for you. And we're going to highlight some sweet potatoes. These are actually, I think, yams, and yams work fine. In fact, I use yams more often than sweet potatoes. What you're going to want to do is bake these, and I cheat. I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't have time to bake these in the oven because it takes a long time. So what I'm going to do is throw these into the microwave for, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, just in kind of a damp paper towel, and they'll bake up really nicely, and it's a lot faster than doing it the hard way. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is get started on our dough. And this dough is a little difficult, and most people avoid making samosas at home because of the dough issue. And what you can do if you decide you just get frustrated with this, or if it's too much, you can go to the store and find some spring roll wrappers or phyllo dough. And phyllo dough is probably a good idea. You can find that in a lot of the regular commercial type grocery stores, but spring roll wrappers may only be available in some Asian groceries. So keep a lookout for them, and just make sure you find some that don't have egg in the ingredients. So we're going to get started with our dough. I have actually 1 cup of flour, just all-purpose flour works fine. And I also have some water and just some oil. And so I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of water to this. And I'll probably add a little bit more of the water just because, depending on the humidity, depending on the dryness, you may want to add a little more water. We'll see how it combines here in just a minute. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of oil, just any kind of oil. Peanut oil would be really great in this recipe, but I don't have that on hand, so we're just going to use regular canola oil. And so I'm just going to start mixing this up, and you'll see it kind of comes together into little flaky bits. And what you're going to want is more of a smooth dough, and so just mix this up until you get as much of the moisture combined with the flour as you can, and then kind of have to gauge it from that point on with the any additional water that you're going to want to add to it. So it looks like it's pretty much as good as it's going to get. I'm just going to add maybe a little more water to this. Maybe another teaspoon or so, and then we'll see how it comes together. Okay, so just stir it up, and then you're going to want to knead this for about 5 to 10 minutes. And you can knead it in the bowl, you can knead it on a board, you can wherever you're most comfortable. And also, whatever type of kneading style you like. I don't really have one in particular, I just kind of throw the dough together. Might add just a little bit more water to this. See if we can get it a little moister. Okay, so we're just going to keep kneading this dough until it's nice and smooth, and then we're going to let it rest for about ½ hour to an hour or so, and that way it'll be hopefully a little easier to work with later on. So while it's resting, we're going to work on our filling, and we'll get started with that. Okay, so we're going to let our dough rest for a little while, and in the meantime we're going to work on our filling. And this filling is actually really great on its own, so if you don't want to work on the dough, or if the dough gets too frustrating, just skip it and eat the filling. So we're going to add some oil to our pan, just about 1 tablespoon. And I've got a small onion that I've kind of diced up to a nice fine dice. And we're just going to cook that up until it softens a bit. And that shouldn't take very long because it's so small. Alright, looks like our onion is starting to soften up, so we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. And I'm going to start with the spices. So I've got some curry powder, and I got some more cayenne pepper. And I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. I'm going to let that cook for a few minutes, or just a few seconds really. Let the oils and the spices come out. Okay. Then I'm going to add my garlic. Just one little cube in there. And I've got some peas here. These were frozen, but we let them thaw. And our sweet potato. And since our sweet potato is already cooked and our peas are thawed, we're really just heating this up and combining the ingredients together. And it's okay if the sweet potato gets a little smushy, because it's just going to go into a filling anyway, so it actually works out well if it loses some of its shape. Oops, lost a pea. Okay, and you don't want to cook this over too high of a heat, because the natural sugars in the sweet potato will start to caramelize and burn if you're not careful. Okay, so this looks pretty good to me, so I'm just going to take it aside and let it cool for a little while. Alright, so our dough has been resting, and we finished our filling. So while the filling is cooling, we're going to roll this out. And I've just got my dough here. It feels pretty good, actually. We may have some luck with this. So I'm just going to flour the counter a little bit. Start rolling it out.
Sky's now clear, do you like what you see? I do. You're living in your garbage, throwing out your dreams. We know if you live your life all that way, you're stuck in the novel that no one will let you leave. You leave. Can't expect a beggar not to turn into a thief. I won't break into your heart and try to flee the sea.
Okay, so that looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's nice and thin. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut some squares in this. And we're going to do about a 4-inch square. And then we're going to add our filling. Use some water to seal the edges and fold them up. And we'll get them in our oven. Okay, so we're going to start getting these guys all wrapped up. And I've got our oven preheating at 375. So we'll just start cutting some squares. And I'll just do the first one. And so I got about a square of dough here. And what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of the filling in. And then we're going to fold it over, make it a nice triangle. And you'll want to put some water along the edges just to get it nice and sealed. And then you can leave it like this, in this triangular shape, or what you can do is kind of give it an extra little fold, put it into like a little packet. We'll just set that off to the side. So we'll just continue.
I wrote all the right things for you, but they will not convince to make a friend. If I could put you in my pocket where you cannot run again, please don't live your life all this way.
Yep. Now I've made mine more like little pouches, and you can leave yours in a triangular shape if you're more interested in having a more traditional shape to them. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them on my pan. And I've got some parchment paper. I love using parchment paper because then I don't have to clean up my pan. And I'm not going to worry about putting any oil down or anything. But before we put these in the oven, what we're going to want to do is brush them. Just brush the tops with some oil. And again, if you have peanut oil, that would work great, but I don't have that right now, so I'm just going to use regular canola oil. Maybe a little sticking, but I think that's okay. And we got about 16 little samosas out of this. And we've still got some filling left over, which I'll probably enjoy for dinner or lunch tomorrow. And so I'm just going to brush the tops of these with some oil. And we'll put them in the oven. Now they should brown up a little bit. They may not brown up, you know, as if they were being fried. But everything's already cooked on the inside, so it won't be as maybe not as brown, but it'll still look good. And we're just going to put them in the oven for about 20 minutes. 20 minutes in the oven. Okay. Okay, so there's our sweet potato and green pea samosas. They look like they've browned up really nicely. If you'd like something a little more savory and less sweet, you could probably go ahead and substitute regular potatoes instead of the sweet potatoes. If you'd like to check out our recipe, you can do that at veganagogo.com. Or if you'd like to email us or send us any kind of comments, you can do that at fans@veganagogo.com. So thanks for joining us, and see you next time.